Hi, I'm Richard Mills, Artistic Director of the West Australian Opera, and this is my dear colleague and friend Julie Edwardson, who's guest of the company, and we're mounting a production of Bellini's opera La Sonnambula, which will take place at His Majesty's Theatre on the 28th, 30th and 2nd, 4th and 6th of November.
Very
Welcome
good.
to Perth, Julie.
Thank you.
And it's interesting that this opera featured, of course, in its very early performances this century, because it slid from currency for quite a long time, Dame Joan Sutherland, who's just passed away. Did you work with Dame Joan, Julie?
I met her, but no, I never got to work with her. She was, when I came into Opera Australia as a singer, I originally started as a singer and then diverted into directing about 10 years ago. And she was around, I think she did a masterclass or something, that, when I was as a young artist, but
You did work a lot with her husband, Richard Bonning, didn't you?
I worked, only once. I was understudying the role of Nikolaus in Hoffmann, and he was conducting, and as all the roles I understudied, I always went on. The one particular singer that I was always the understudy to would always get sick. So anyway, so he conducted that performance, and he was lovely. He was very supportive, and we had a good time.
And you won the brief by competition to direct this opera for us, and in fact it's been seen in Melbourne, hasn't it?
And Sydney.
Sydney.
Yep.
And here, and then Adelaide.
Adelaide next year, and then I think 2013 is Brisbane.
Wow.
Bit of I'll have forgotten what it was all about by then, but anyway.
Why do you think people would come to see an opera that's hardly ever performed? What is it about this opera that makes it really special?
Well, it's certainly the flavour of the world at the moment. It's the trend, isn't it? I mean, most major companies are, putting on Sonnambula. So, look, it's musically, it is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful music.
Wonderful. It is the height of the bel canto period.
And we have a great cast, don't we? I mean, a cast that actually it's really interesting. So many of them are from West Australia. We've got Rochelle Durkin, who's from Bunbury, who's a former young artist of West Australian Opera, who's now at the Metropolitan Opera. We've got Aldo Di Toro, who lives in Italy and has a nice career in the United Kingdom and in Italy. And Aldo was also a young artist of the company. So our two stars are, in fact, coming home to us, aren't they?
They are, and Aldo has just done it in Sydney with Emma Matthews, and it's lovely coming with a different director, a different cast. There's a lot more. I think there's a lot more freedom in this production that we're doing than there was in Melbourne and Sydney.
It's a story about sleepwalking.
It is, and it's a lovely little story. It's like Days of Our Lives or The Young and the Restless of its time, really. It's a domestic little story set in a country village in Switzerland, where a girl is going to be married. It's her dream come true to be married to this man. She unfortunately has this really bad habit of sleepwalking that no one knows about. In fact, the whole of the village think that there is a ghost in the village, so that they've seen this apparition walking along the hills, but have never, because of their superstition and fear, have never really bothered to, seek out what this apparition is. So they believe it's a ghost, and even Amina doesn't know that she sleepwalks. She's the central character, and she.
But it has a happy ending.
It has a happy ending. She walks into on the night before she's about to be married in the church. She sleepwalks into the room of Count Rodolfo, who has just come to the village after being a long time away. He's sort of the worldly outsider who tries to inform the villagers that, no, this girl is innocent. She actually just walked into my room. And because of this lack of education and this lack of reasoning, the village think he's talking a load of rubbish. But anyway, to cut a long story short, she nearly sleepwalks to her death, which is when the village actually do see her. She sleepwalks almost into the mill wheel after she has been denounced by her spouse, Elvino, and he's taken back the ring and dumped her because he believes she's unfaithful. And then, you know, the village finally see the proof of her sleepwalking, and all is restored, and we have a happy ending. It's gone full circle around, and her dream has come true. Her dream to be married to this man is restored.
It's a lovely night at the opera because it has a happy ending.
It does.
There's no corpses, there's no blood, there's no murders, there's no knives.
But there's intrigue, and there's
lots of human drama, isn't there?
There is, and you know, there's at the core of it it's a love story, and there's jealousy. You know, there's another character there, Lisa, who
owns a pub.
Who owns the pub? Yeah.
She's quite a piece of work, is Lisa. Yeah.
Well, she is, but she's a victim. She's been treated badly by Elvino, who's now marrying Amina. He was engaged to Lisa and dumped her for Amina, the younger version. And
he dumped a wife who owned a pub. That's.
I know, but he's got enough money. Like he's the wealthy landowner, Elvino. So he doesn't need any money. He only wants.
It's a big opera for the chorus, this, isn't it?
It's huge. It is probably one of the biggest chorus operas there is, I would say. Wouldn't you, in the repertoire?
It's a huge amount of singing.
And it's very easily underestimated because Bellini is, you know, you hear the music and it sounds quite simple, and, you know, there's a lot of repetitive phrases, and you think, oh yes, but it's incredibly difficult for the chorus to learn and to absorb it all. And they're virtually on stage the whole time.
It also, to sing it beautifully is a real feat. I mean, it's virtuoso writing for the voice. It's very elaborately ornamented. It's fantastic to listen to. In fact, it's thrilling to listen to.
It is. It showcases the human voice, which is what Bel Canto was all about. And I think, I mean, was this one of Bellini's latest?
Yeah, it was later. It was before Norma. And it was written for the great Giuditta Pasta. It was premiered in Milano at the Carcano Theatre, which is only a small theatre, about 700 people, in 1831. Of course, Norma was a little bit later, I think 1832 or 1833 at La Scala itself. Bellini died very young. He lived from 1801 to 1835, so it was a very, very short life. And he was very famous in his day, because of his gifts for writing melodies, which really told the story of the operas in such a wonderful way, and was so representative of the truth of human feeling.
And incredibly emotional.
Yeah.
Like some of this music is probably the most emotionally affecting that I've ever heard, and the piece for me is about. I mean, the central character Amina is this emotionally driven character that swings from she's either ecstatically happy, you know, about to be married, or she's in the depths of despair where all that's been, her world's been ripped from under her, and that music, it really supports that.
And these are feelings that we still have today, of course. I mean, you can say yes, it is the language of heightened emotion, but still any human relationships, particularly when they involve love, do have their ups and downs. So they have a story to tell us today, I think, about what it is to be human and about our lives. So just because the opera was written in 1830 and performed in 1831, it doesn't mean that it can't speak to us really freshly today, because it's a masterpiece, and masterpieces reinvent themselves over time, because as each new generation discovers them, they find something new in them.
Yes.
That's why we keep doing these pieces, because they have something to say to us
and you're right. I mean, it is really just dealing with human emotion, and you know, it deals with jealousy, love, sexual. You know, there's sensuality in there as well.
It's a good night out.
It is.
And I think a fun night out as well. So.
And the other interesting thing about the piece, I think, is that apart from it being this little simple rustic story, it also has this very interesting element of sleepwalking, that Amina lives in this unconscious world a lot of the time. You know, for 2 scenes she sleepwalks through it, and part of the production and what we wanted to explore with this production was that contrast between consciousness and unconsciousness, and maybe it could be seen as a series of dreamscapes seen through her eyes. It's almost like, well, what is real and what is not, you know. are we just seeing, is the whole story just a dream?
So there are 5 performances, 28th and 30th of October and 2, 4 and 6 of November. And next year, West Australian Opera's got a very busy year. We're doing Fledermaus in the Park. Watch out for that one. A really fun summer evening, free of charge. David Hobson's coming to sing for us. And we're doing a really bold new production of Tosca. And then the Tales of Hoffmann in the middle of the year. And our year ends with the great Shakespearean drama set by Verdi of Falstaff. So I think it'll be a very interesting year. A lot of great West Australian singers and many stars. So please join us for that. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.